Well, sorry I missed you guys this last week. My family and I took a vacation down to Texas, down to Galveston, and got to see the beach and things like that. I got to have a lot of fun with my son, with my daughter. Um, I think they're the ultimate reason that we went down there. Um, I chose that as our destination. My son really wanted to see the beach, and I don't think he was disappointed. He seemed to enjoy it quite a bit. Man, but on this vacation, no, nothing's going to take away the joy that was experienced when we had time together, when we did different things. But there were some hiccups along the way. There were some things that didn't go according to plan. The van, our mode of transportation, decided to break down on us on the way back home to Oklahoma, and man, we we were just ready to get home. We were ready to be back to somewhat normal life, and we had a hindrance pop up. The car started smoking a little bit. When we tried to accelerate, it made a funny noise and didn't want to work properly. So we pull over to the side of the road. We see tons of fluid under the car, like some kind of oil. We get it towed back to Fairfield, Texas. So we have to go backwards, actually, from where we were. And Fairfield is not a big place. There's relatively nothing there from what I saw that was that had any hope. There's no signs of hope per se. If we needed that, like a car rental place, if it came to that situation. So we got towed to a mechanic shop. A mechanic looked at it, tried to find a leak, tried to check some things out, pull some things out, couldn't find a leak. And so the oil was fine. And so they put some transmission fluid in it. Apparently that was a little low. We assumed that's what was leaking. So he put some in there. I went and did a car wash so we could wash the underside, the underbelly of the car with the guard with the shield off of it. And let me tell you, that might have been the most painful thing for me because I don't wash my car that often. It's just one of those things. It's like a waste of money. I had to spend $12 to get the car wash specifically for the underside so that it would kind of take away some of the oil residue so we could see where the leak was coming from. So I did that, and then I went and test drove it on the highway to get it up to a certain speed to see if when I bring it back to the shop, if there's more splatter, if there's more leak. Couldn't find anything. So I dropped just under $200 at the mechanic shop for him to put a little bit of transmission fluid in it and to look at it for labor. So my dad and I, my wife, my mom, my kids, we all pack back up. We start heading down back up to Oklahoma. We stop at Napa to buy some transmission fluid, assuming that it's going to leak on us. So we're going to stop every hour and a half to fill it up. Seems to sound great, runs great. My dad swears it's running better than it ever has before. So we stop, look at it, not a drop is missing from the stick. Nothing, there was no sign, nothing that indicated there was a problem. We come out the next morning to back the van up, see if there's fluid underneath the car, if it had leaked and dripped out. Nothing. And it's in that moment that, I asked myself, well, what was so valuable in Fairfield, Texas? I'm a man, I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that there's divine appointments even if we don't see it or recognize it. What was in Fairfield, Texas for my dad, for my mom, for me, for my wife, for my son, for my daughter? What was in Fairfield, Texas that we had to experience? That one of us or all of us needed to experience a situation. What was it that was there? I still don't know the answer, but it does make me think. Another funny thing that was talked about while we were down in Texas, my dad kept saying that he's going to run for mayor down here. Why was he going to run for mayor? Because there was many problems that could have been fixed. There was many things, from potholes in the roads to trash and debris on beaches and just litter galore everywhere. There were numerous things that he saw, that I saw, that we were joking about. Man, if I was mayor, we could fix these things up. We could make this place a better place. We could increase value, increase tourism, etc. There's so many things we could do to help this place out. And the question is, why isn't this being done? Because it seems like such an easy fix. It seems like such an easy thing to do. I don't think of myself as being overly intelligent. And so I think if I can think about it, then someone else can as well. Speaking of poor leadership, which is what it appeared to have been down in Galveston, CNN. So, CNN may not be a person, a leader, but no doubt they have leadership within our nation, within our society, of things that they talk about and that they share, and again, the narrative that they push. It's funny to see, if you go onto CNN's website and on their homepage, on their top news, top stories, you don't see 1 ounce of Dr. Fauci. Even good stuff, there's nothing on there. But there ought to have been some negative stuff on there. I don't know if you guys keep up with other things, other news, but there's been emails that have leaked and about Dr. Fauci and conversations he's had with people that completely contradict what he tells us regarding vaccines and masks and lockdowns, and the list can go on. The origins of the virus, that's a big thing that's coming out now, is where did it come from? Who had ties to it? Who knew what was going on? And again, from the very beginning, we were told one set of stories. Now that everything's flooding out and there's like no holding back the gates, the stories are changing. The stories are changing. Now, in my mind, this is a hot topic. This is a big thing. This is affecting our entire nation. It's been affecting our entire nation for, over a year now. Jobs have been lost. Businesses have closed. That would be top news. You would think that CNN would want to cover stuff like that, but they're not. Why aren't they? Why aren't they? Because it doesn't fit their narrative. It doesn't fit the direction that they want to go. It doesn't fit. Again, that's a big topic, a huge topic for our nation that isn't discussed. Well, there's another big topic for our nation that unfortunately is discussed. So this month, June, is Pride Month. I don't know how to phrase this. Celebrating, recognizing the LGBTQ plus community. How many more letters are they going to add to their name? But I'm always baffled at times like this. I'm always baffled at the sense of attention we put on things that that, in my opinion, ought not need attention. Why are we doing this? What is the purpose and the reason behind it? So I was looking at this website, loc.gov, a law website for our government, and it breaks down some of the months or days that we celebrate, recognize different things. So February is African American History Month. That's a popular one. I know about that one. American Indian Heritage Month in November. I didn't know about that one. Never heard that one before. Asian Pacific Heritage Month. That's in May, apparently. Didn't hear one thing about that. Constitution Day and Citizenship Day, September 17th. Nope, but I don't know about that one. Human Rights Day, December 10th. Nope. Irish American Heritage Month is March. I guess that goes along with St. Patrick's Day. Again, never heard of that being a month. I've heard of St. Patrick's Day, obviously. Jewish American Heritage Month is also in May. Oh, so there's two things on May. Law Day, May 1st. Then we have June as Pride Month. National Disability Employment Awareness Month in October. National Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15th through October 15th. And then Women's History Month in March, also another March one. I guess you run out of months eventually. You know, in why are some recognized more than others? See, we get in. It's easy to get into this trap and this mess that essentially I think we make ourselves, and we find ourselves back in that same mess. We make the mess and we step in it. As leaders. Why do we recognize Black History Month and Pride Month way above anything else? And does this not completely go against the idea of equality? This thing that the left side, the Democrats, want to push so heavy, that we want to make everything equal for everybody, treat everybody the same, no matter what your sex is, your race is, doesn't matter. We're going to treat you all the same. But in the meantime, let's separate months up of who we're going to recognize and give them props or congratulate them, or whatever you want to call it, however you want to phrase it. We want to draw attention to them. Again, there's many of these on here that I never heard of before. I didn't know we recognized. And one I didn't notice on there was White History Month, Caucasian History Month, something to that effect. Why is that not on there? That's a little offensive. Why is that not on there? I mean, if we're going to have something for everything else, Indian, Asian, women, Jewish, Irish, why not have one for us? Because someone might call that segregation. But you see, the left doesn't like it when we put a line on it like that. I was watching a Tucker Carlson the other day, and he started talking about the vaccine passports and having to prove that you've been vaccinated to go to certain places or to go into certain places, do certain things. And he referred to this as medical Jim Crow. And his listeners, well, not his listeners, but listeners, outside listeners, didn't like that line. They didn't like him associating that, which the vaccines, the vaccinations, with something they love, with something they hate, which is Jim Crow and Jim Crow laws. They didn't like that combination at all. But you gotta stop and think though. If it's something's gonna bother someone so much, if I'm gonna be bothered by what someone does or says, typically it's gonna be true. If I'm bothered by something that someone says or does that refers to me, trying to hurt me or tear me down, and I'm going to get that defensive about it, it's probably true. I just don't want to admit it. I made a post about this idea, and our leadership. It's sad. Our leadership doesn't know what their hands are doing. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, and in the end, it really just makes them look stupid. It makes us look stupid. So, like I said earlier, this idea of Pride Month, it's celebrated. It's to recognize and to support the lifestyle of the homosexual movement. Is to support them, is it not? I mean, that's what it is. And there's a piece on CNN about people in the LGBTQ community who are upset with capitalists and upset with some businesses over what they're doing and how they're promoting, their movement, the Pride movement. It says, whether it's rainbow capitalism or bad design, LGBTQ people are calling out disingenuous Pride merchandise. It's funny. To me, that's hilarious. So we have this Pride Month. We have this month to recognize who you are, which these businesses are doing this. They're doing this to if for no other reason, to help you, to appease you, because that's what so many people in our society need nowadays, is to be appeased, is to have their shoulders rubbed and to say, you're a good boy. We need so many congratulations in our life, and it's sad. Our culture and our society are falling apart when it comes to things like that. So that's what they're doing. These businesses. But this movement, these people are getting hacked off that, well, you guys are making money from this. You guys are not for us. You're just using our name in this movement and what we stand for. You're using it in a wrong and negative way. And we want you to stop it. I don't know if you see this trend, hear this in the news and the media, but there's only one right way to do something nowadays, to do fill in the blank. And the right way is to do it their way. Is to do it their way. Period. If you're not willing to do it their way, you're doing it the wrong way. We can see this in another article, Business Insider. And again, it goes along with this idea of Pride Month, and in the business of making money, which obviously businesses ought to be. If they're not, they're going to go under. They're going to lose money, and they're going to go out of business. Burger King wants to try and take out some of its competition. And the reason behind them wanting to take out their competition is because they don't, I'm not quoting, this is a paraphrase from their idea, and I'll read something in just a second, because they don't think or believe and act the same way that the society says we ought to. That's what it is. That is what it is. This is what Business Insider tells us. Chick-fil-A, which is famously closed on Sundays, is once again facing a scrutiny over donations made by CEO Dan Cathy to groups fighting legislation for the LGBTQ protections. Cathy is a high-dollar donor to the National Christian Charitable Foundation, one of the largest charities in the U.S., with a history of funding opposition to the Equality Act, the Daily Beast reported. And the Equality Act is horrible, horrible. It sounds good, Equality Act, sure, we want equality. But, again, you got to remember that when the Democrats and the leftists go in, they want to redefine words, and they want to include things that don't need to be included, and that in a normal society would not be included. For example, a woman playing in guys sports and a guy playing in women's sports, that's not normal. That's not normal. And it said equality. You should let them compete in whatever they want to, because that's how they identify, that's how they think they are. Churches, if a gay guy wants to be a pastor, you need to let him, because that's equality, period. If you don't do that, then you're a bigot. That's not equality. That's not equality. Once we start redefining things, it changes, obviously, the definition. That article goes on, Burger King's Pride Month promotion is a chance for it to distinguish itself from the crowded chicken sandwich landscape. Burger King released the Chicken sandwich on June 3rd after 2 years of recipe testing. KFC, Popeyes, and McDonald's all sell their own versions of crispy chicken sandwiches, though Chick-fil-A remains the chain to beat. As of December 2020, Chick-fil-A still had by far the largest share of online chicken sandwich sales at 45%. No other brand even reached 20%. Now, before I give Chick-fil-A too much credit, I have a a slight problem with them, which I'll share in just a minute, over what they did last summer. But I do commend Chick-fil-A for them being closed on Sundays, for them having a good atmosphere, at least where I've been. They have good people. They train them well. They teach them how to have skills that no other place teaches their people to have. Their donations to good Christian organizations, I commend them for that. I thank them for that. I think it's obviously making a ripple in our nation. If places like Burger King are going to be so ticked off that they are doing things that go against society and go against what we as a culture seem to be pressing on forward to, then obviously you're making it a difference. You're making a difference. You're making an impact. And kudos to them. No other place is going to try to attack you if you're not a threat. The only reason you get attacked and people want to destroy you is because you're a threat. Period. So again, before I give Chick-fil-A too much credit, I was baffled last summer when the death of George Floyd was happening, and Black Lives Matters was doing horrendous things in our nation. I was baffled when I read this and heard this. I was upset. I don't expect anything from businesses who have no morals. I don't expect Walmart to have good morals. I don't expect Target to have good morals. I don't expect Burger King to have good morals, because they don't promote those morals. They don't have a foundation that's based on that. So I don't look to them for that. That'd be silly. But I do look to Chick-fil-A, not for my religion and for answers. I look to them as a thumbprint, again, making that ripple. I pray in the name of Christ to extend his kingdom. And that's why it was so disheartening to hear this. So this is what Today reported on. Quote, racism should have no place in society. I agree with that. Not now, not ever. It cannot be tolerated. The statement read, our hearts are breaking for our Black team members, operators, and staff, and all those in the Black community who are suffering and who have suffered for too long because of racism. What? Why do we, where do we get those facts from? And why in the world are we going to lump everyone everyone in the Black race together into this group? So this is Chick-fil-A speaking. Our hearts are breaking for our Black team members, operators, and staff, for all those in the Black community who are suffering and who have suffered for too long because of racism. I know I'm not Black, and I know I haven't seen sides of cities and people that some people have seen. I've lived in a relatively quiet and put together town/city. But having suffering from racism and feeling that affect you, I don't think that's happened. I don't think that's happened. We haven't felt racism in the way they're describing for hundreds of years. It goes on. At Chick-fil-A, we know we have a role in moving all of us forward. We will listen. We will be intentional. We will share. We will act to build bridges, to spread care and hope into our world today and always. Well, that's fantastic. But we don't need to do that in the name of racism. Take the idea of racism out, and I love that last paragraph. At Chick-fil-A, we know we have a role in moving all of us forward. Fantastic. We will listen. Yeah, we will be intentional. Okay, great. We will share. We will act to build bridges to spread care and hope into our world today and always. I agree. Sign me up. But it's in the name of racism. That's what the foundation is. You know, and another thing that was very disheartening is that in all of these quotes and all of these sharing about racism, there's not a mention of God anywhere. And there should be. There should be. There should be. That, again, if that's your foundation, which I believe that's what Chick-fil-A's is, God should be in that conversation, in that quote, in your dialogue, especially to these major media sources who are going to get this message out to people. Their intention is not to share who God is today, the news station today, but that doesn't matter. You share it, and it gets shared. Just like when I'm doing these videos. Do they seem like they have a politically and news feature to them? Yes, they do. I mean, that's what I'm going for. But I don't want that to be my foundation. And I've told myself, I've told God that if I ever stop making Him my foundation, then I need to draw back. Because I want Him to be my foundation in everything that I do, everything that I share with you guys, everything that I talk about. I want Him to be the person, the idea that I circle back to. I want to start with Him and I want to go back to Him. And everything else is enclosed within Him. Period. So where does that leave us? You know, as I see more and more in my society, in our society, people, leaders, media sources have so much control and such a loud voice that if we're not careful, if I'm not careful, then I let them win because I don't fight back. I don't do anything against them. You know, I was watching my podcast the other day, and the gentleman was talking about different Pride Month influences that they're putting out there. Blue's Clues, for instance, a child's cartoon had a drag queen on it and a little girl talking about different pride flags for transgenderism. Didn't know there was a flag, the gay pride flag. And there's other ones that I had no idea existed. A little girl, I mean, she couldn't have been more than 6 or 7 years old. It makes me sick. It makes me sick. You can find cereal boxes that tells children to pick their own pronouns. It makes me sick to think about that. You have this school in New York that has this cartoon that talks about sex ed with first graders, and you can probably Google it and find it pretty easily. But it's disturbing that a first grader would be hearing and learning these things in that way. I'm telling you, people, this is disturbing. These things that are being pushed down our throats, and if we're not careful, we don't even notice it. We don't even notice it. We become like some of the Republicans who call themselves Republicans, but they're not Republicans. They just bow down to the left, and they do what they tell them to do. They think about, well, this isn't a big deal. I'll go ahead and do this time. It's not worth the fight. That's what they say. But it is worth the fight. It is worth the fight. I don't know if I've said it before, but if we look at Jesus and his sacrifice that he made for us on the cross, Jesus never would have been put on that cross if he didn't do anything. It's that simple. If Jesus didn't make a ruckus, if Jesus didn't stand up for what he knew was right and what he came to do, and he knew God's will, if Jesus didn't oppose the culture, he never would have been killed. We need to get back to who we are as a nation. And who we are as a nation, I strongly believe, is having God as our foundation. Period. Having him as our foundation. So that's something we're going to look at next time, is what are the foundations of our country? What is stated in the Declaration of Independence, in our Constitution? What is stated by our founding fathers in these documents that we have? And then why are we as a society so eager and assertive in trying to change our foundations? Because I'm not going to go to China and expect China to change who they are because of me. I went to China. I ought to conform to who they are, generally speaking. Yes, I still want there to be some diversity and some differing beliefs. I don't want to live in a dictatorship. But it's silly, and I would even say stupid, for us as a nation to stand still and allow people to come in and change who we are as a nation when there's nothing to change. There's nothing wrong with what's going on based on the founding fathers. So as always, I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you like what you hear, please let me know. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please send them my way. I'd be happy to answer them. If you think I've said something that's out of place, let me know. I would love the chance to apologize or to restate what I said or what I meant. And if I meant what I said, I want to double down on it. I want to make sure that my opinion and my thoughts are made clear in what I'm doing with you guys. So thank you.